Howdy folks, got another review that I thought I would share. In this particular case we are showcasing my Mora Companion HD and what I believe to be the inherent problems with this thing. Even though it's a great knife, I bought it as a general purpose blade and it falls short for me. So this may upset some of you guys. A lot of you are very fans of the Mora. This particular model is the Carbon, and I think it's in the Carbon where I've got half of my issues. So the first problem that I believe with this blade is the lack of information regarding care and instructions about blade care, really. So if I'm going to show you this here, don't know how well you're going to see that. We'll go up this way. This is not how the knife arrived. The knife itself was super shiny, like we're talking the stainless steel look. Now, and I guess that this is a fault of myself, that I should have known better that the Carbon knife needed maintenance. What I've had to do to this thing to prevent the ongoing amount of rust that I've had on it is I've had to force a patina on it. I don't think that forcing a patina in itself is a deal breaker. There's just things that regarding this blade I feel could have been much better addressed and much better communicated. First issue, the lack of information regarding care on a Carbon blade. The Carbon blade in this case super prone to rust. So I own a fair amount of knives and I've never really paid attention to the steels themselves. Maybe this is something that I need to start doing more of. If anything, this guy has really taught me a lesson. You're going to buy a Carbon blade, you probably should force patina it very early on. I'll do my best to make a video where I remove the patina, and I will do another one where I force the patina again. I'll try and get it back to this state. The reality is that this has got some scuffs and some markings in here that the metal was being eaten at by the corrosion and rust. So the first issue that I've got with it is that lack of information regarding care, because this is a Carbon blade. So although I do think that part of this is my doing, I should have known better. I did do my research on this, but I should have known better. The reality is this comes in the box super shiny. Through using general care, I just figured I would be able to maintain the shiny look. Doesn't have to look perfect, but this had blemishes in there from the rust that I was unable to remove. So I obviously never filed that down enough, or I never sanded or whatever. We'll try and do another video about removing the patina. We'll do another one again about forcing a patina. When it comes to you, it should come to you like this, because this is the state it's going to be in. Maybe I'm just very ignorant, more ignorant than most. Buying a shiny blade, expecting it to stay shiny. Am I wrong? Maybe it's my fault. The second issue I've got with this is the actual care itself. I foolishly took this fishing one day in the salt water and I cut up bait. So the bait that I cut up, by the time that I've packed up back to where I was staying, which was in a tent, by the time I'd gotten back there, the knife was already rusted. So I had rust all over the place. And then while I was out there on this particular camping trip, I struggled to maintain, there was moisture around and it had been raining a lot. I've struggled to keep this guy rust free. I did my best to clean it, and then isopropyl alcohol doesn't do squat for this. It left streaks as well, and it still left. The rust started coming back a few days later, to the point that I had to research, how do I care for this and how do I protect it? I found a forced patina is the answer. The care itself is not straightforward. Unless you want your blade like this, then pick a stainless steel. My 2 cents. The other thing that I've noticed, and this is based on the Carbon itself, is the knife itself is not great for food prep. It reacts to things with acidity, you know, cutting open a lemon, cutting open capsicums, which are peppers over in the US. I believe I also have had the issue with cucumber. I've had just cutting veggies in general, which have obviously water content. This thing was a mess. I was getting bits of, I don't know, it looked like dirt. It looked like ash, really, onto the food itself. And then you would wipe this off with a cloth, and you would get the cloth would have that tarnished look onto it. Not straightforward, not great for food prep. And the final thing, so this is number 4 now, is, again, probably my fault here, but blade thickness. I've bought the HD, right? So this is obviously the thicker model. I've bought the HD and it's too thick. The fact that this doesn't cut food very well probably puts it out of this category of prepping food. But for me, as a general purpose knife, it's too thick. So, you know, as much as I wanted this to be a companion, pardon the pun, to something like my strong arm, the Gerber, I feel that I've kind of left with a knife that is very much in the same realms as this guy. Obviously not the same level of brutality. I wouldn't put this through the same level of abuse that I would be prepared to put this through and feel confident with it. I wouldn't do that to this. But given the blade thickness and given its inability for food prep and requirement of care, this literally makes it an outdoors only knife, really. So, and even then, force a patina on it. So that's my 2 cents. I'm going to show you now quickly why I think that the thickness of this is inappropriate as a food prep general purpose knife. And we'll start off with cutting a carrot. Let's grab a chopping board. Alright, let's have a look. Let's see if we can see. Alright, it's tearing it. This thing basically is like an axe, look. Alright, I don't know if we can see the tearing here. This will become more evident as I start getting to the thicker parts. Look, we've got splitting. We've got, let's do it again. There we go. Split it again. We've got splitting here. To me, this is not... I feel like I'm using an axe. I feel like I'm using an axe to cut a carrot. Alright, let's move some of this stuff off to the side. Let's grab an apple. Alright, let's see if we can show you some of this. Now that I'm trying to make this obvious. Oh, this particular apple's not doing it. No, it gets away with the apple. The apple's got enough flex in it that it being somewhat unaffected. Alright, let's grab a little tiny tomato. Let's have a look at that. Take some of this. Anyway, so this sort of stuff, let me see which camera, there we go. Alright, so you can see that there, that gleam. You don't clean this straight away and you haven't put a patina on. Even the patina, this thing is going to get stained continually. I'm not kidding, this thing continually. So maybe I should have grabbed the bigger tomato. It's cutting this one fine. But again, I feel like I'm using an axe to do this. I think I would prefer, as much as I think that this is maybe too thin, something like a Victorinox paring knife. I'm not sure what exact model this is. I know that they come in inch sizes. I don't know what it is. It might be, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I feel that, you know, compare that in thickness. I think that as a general utility, this is too thin. I think in general utility, this is too thick. And the balance, I believe, is somewhere in between. So let me just give you an example. Food prep. Probably should have sharpened this before. Let's grab some apple. You know, the apple I can go really thin with this if I want to. Actually, let's see if I can do that with. Let's see if we can do that with this one. Let's see how thin of a slice. It's doing it, but I'm kind of struggling. I'm struggling because I'm having to rotate the blade because it doesn't want to stay. I don't know if that's the Scandi grind. Yeah, no. This one, not an issue. Not an issue. I've got complete control over that. I'm trying to cut an apple. These are the outcomes of trying to do it via. Anyway, so I still think it's a really good knife. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I believe that I was probably foolish in just expecting that this would remain clean on the blade. Not that I dislike this, but the fact that this reacts with food is no good. So I think I'm going to put this one through its paces outside, and I'm going to start smashing this thing with a baton for what it's worth. I will record that, by the way, because this might be my alternative of sticking into like a fishing bag as opposed to me walking around with the Brute. You know, I truly trust this thing. I'll give you, again, while we're at it, I'll show you the comparison between thickness versus this. I believe that from a general purpose point of view, that somewhere in between this and this is the right mix. Rather than turn this into a Mora bashing session necessarily, I'm prepared to admit most of the fault here, but I do think that the information regarding care should be more obvious. For as much as I'm a fanatic with knives, I'm not a fanatic with knowing the steels and the. Maybe this is the problem. So, giving this guy a chance, we've got ourselves a stainless steel version, which, by the way, so you can see that blade there. No, it's nice and shiny. The blade, as it comes like this, is how this one comes. So, am I a complete fool in thinking or expecting that it will remain this shiny? Maybe. Maybe. So, let's give this guy an unboxing. Alright, so we've got ourselves a new sheath. I like the green one better, but I also like the fact that I should be able to tell them both apart. So, this guy, let me see if I can get some reflections on here. Alright, there we go. Alright. So, this guy is effectively what this guy looked like when I first bought them. The blade in this one is a fraction thicker than this, and I think it's that tiny fraction that makes it inappropriate for just general purpose stuff. I think that that's what makes this completely this is, to me, an outdoors knife. That's it. Be rough with it, be whatever, but this is not a food prepping general purpose knife. Let's see, we're going to run this one through the paces and see if this bad boy will cut it. Cut it, haha. So, I probably should sharpen it too, but let's, you know what, let's have a look at the carrots. Nah, it's still a bit thick for the carrots. I'm still tearing the carrots. You can hear that. You hear the crunching. Yeah. Can you hear it? Alright. Anyway, I'll reserve judgment on this. Let's see this one. The Victorinox. Nah, see. Listen to it. So I don't know if that's we're hearing this torn effect by the taper in the Scandi grind, which might be the case. You can hear it. There's tearing going on. It's being split apart. Versus, no, it's just one smooth motion with this one. I will do my best to find information out on exactly what this blade is, and I'll do a video about it too. Really like it. This used to be kept in my photographic bag when I was doing food photography. So yeah, let's see if there's any difference here doing it this way. There's no issue there. Let's try it like this. Let's see how yeah. The angle of the grind, I think, might be the problem here. Not necessarily the knife itself. Which is okay. I can live with that. I can still see this being a lot more useful of trying to cut a pumpkin than trying to do it with this. Shear out dangerous, too thin. But anyway, let's see. For what it's worth, if you've still stuck around and you found some of this stuff interesting, please give me a like and do consider subscribing. I've got more little quirky things that, well, it's more like OCD annoyances that I have about products that sometimes I feel like, man, this is the best thing going, you need to know about it. And other times it's like, yeah, it's really good, except for this thing is just, I don't know. So, I'm going to stop my ramble. See you guys next time. Enjoy. Now I got to eat the carrots. And the apples. Better go wipe this sucker down before I end up with more marks on here that I continue to despise. Alright.